Today I'm going to show you how to use one controller to control all three of these drones. This is the DJI Mini 2, this is the DJI Air 2, and this is the DJI Air 2S. Three of DJI's latest drones. Now this does not include the Mini SE, that is the newest DJI drone, but that's more geared to beginners and does not work with the same technology that these do. Now we all know that the DJI Smart Controller flies pretty much all three of these drones and more. But not everybody can afford a smart controller, and the smart controller, even though it's good, it doesn't have the best range compared to the standard controllers. This is my controller that came with the DJI Air 2S, and I made a video, link up here, you can go check it out, where I took this controller up by mistake, yes, before I labeled it like this, and took it out to fly the Mini 2, and it just would not pair. Now you might be saying, why don't you update your firmware? But I do update my firmware. As a matter of fact, I use this software here, DJI Assistant 2. I'm not a big fan of updating firmware over Wi-Fi or using my smartphone. I prefer to have a direct connection using a USB cable connected to the device to my computer and update it that way, so the computer can pull the software off of the internet and then send it to the drone via this cable, which is a much more reliable connection. And usually when you're updating over the air and you have issues, they tell you to use this hard connection. So I don't even bother updating over the air. I go straight to the hard wire. But not only for my drones, I also do the same for all of my controllers. You can plug it in the bottom of the controller as well, plug it into the computer. The software will recognize it and you can choose the latest update. With that being said, all of my controllers are up to date. All of my drones are up to date. So I expected that when I reached out in the field and I turn on my Air 2S controller, it's supposed to bind with my Mini 2. And it didn't. Let me show you why. Let's turn on the Air 2S controller, turn on the Mini 2, and put both into pairing mode. Now in order to do that, normally the average person would hook up their phone. I wouldn't, because I've already updated my stuff via the USB-C cable to update both the controller and the drone. I expect them both to be fully updated. So I bind my controllers like this. I hit the function button, I hit the camera button, and I hit this third button right there. It's beeping because it's in pairing mode, and then I press and hold this to put it in pairing mode. I don't need a phone, I don't need anything. Now you see it's blinking, but both are blinking. It's like it's trying to pair, but it's not. See that? That's a problem. It's like it wants to, but it can't. And this was my issue, trying this over and over and over. I got upset, and then I thought to myself, well, maybe because this is the OcuSync 3 that comes with the Air 2S, maybe that's the reason why it's not pairing up. So what do you do in a scenario like this? My controller is fully up to date, my Mini is up to date, all of my stuff is all up to date using the best possible method, which is DJI Assistant 2. And like I mentioned before, when DJI came out with the Mini 2, they released a firmware that you had to download to make it compatible with the Mavic Air 2. So what am I doing wrong? Well, what I should have done, instead of losing my cool like a kid that can't get candy or ice cream, pretty much that's how I behave when I can't fly. So do I have some things to work on? Absolutely. Does DJI have some things that they can work on? Absolutely too. They can put the firmware update in DJI Assistant 2 to give you the option to update it when you go to DJI Assistant 2, because that's the best and safest way to update, but the option is just not available there. But am I going to stop kicking and screaming if I can't fly? No. Is DJI going to put it in Assistant 2? No. But thankfully, DJI does have a way for you to do it. So you have to connect your controller for this method. select DJI Fly. I use just once. You can use always. The only reason I use just once is because I use other softwares to fly the drone. Go to connection guide and select the drone that you want, the DJI Mini 2. When you go to select the DJI Mini 2, now you will see that it prompts you to do a firmware. Now that you get this prompt to do the firmware, which was not available in DJI Assistant 2, which is not available normally if you connect your drone to the correct controller, it does not push this firmware. You literally have to go and select this drone, and then you will have the option to download the firmware. This could be when you're out in the field, so you must make sure that you have some sort of Wi-Fi connection, or you have good 4G service as well. My phone is connected to the Wi-Fi, so I will hit continue. Fortunately, the firmware doesn't take that long. What the firmware does is make this controller, the Air 2S controller, now compatible with the Mini 2. Complete. Okay, what I like to do is restart the controller and restart the drone. So I'll do the same thing here. You can go in camera view and bind it as well, but I prefer the buttons. 1, 2, 3 buttons. Press and hold. And on your Mini 2, press and hold. There you go. It's all binded up. So basically, I can take these stickers off now. So basically, it doesn't matter which one of these controllers that you own. Any one of them will power any one of these 3 drones, as long as you follow this simple, easy procedure. You're better off doing this at home instead of having to go out in the field. You might not have Wi-Fi connection, or you don't have unlimited data, and that could be a problem. The other thing that you would need to take into consideration is if you take your Mini 2 controller and you want to fly your Air 2S when you reach out in the field, yes, you will be prompted with the same message when you connect your phone and you go to the connection guide. It will tell you download the firmware for this, which is the Mini 2 controller or the Air 2 controller, to make it compatible with your Air 2S drone. So it's a little bit of a process. You're better off just taking all of your controllers and doing the updates for all 3 of your drones if you own all 3, for all 3 of your controllers. So that way, if you grab any one by mistake, all you need to do is press those 3 buttons, hold this down, and bind any one of the drones and the controllers up together. Is DJI just going to push an update that just pushes the software into all 3 controllers, and it doesn't matter which drone you have, and just make it easier? Probably not. But fortunately, and most importantly, there is a solution, and it's an official solution by DJI, so you can have any one of these controllers. Now, people ask if it's the OcuSync 3 that's going to have a problem if you use an OcuSync 2 controller. Well, from what I understand, the controllers are all exactly the same, but don't quote me on that. The real difference that makes the OcuSync 3 is that this one has more antennas. It has antennas in the front and antennas in the back legs, and that's what gives the OcuSync more power. But the controllers are identical and exactly the same internally, so it really doesn't matter which controller you grab for which drone. Now, one last thing I do want to mention is that when I released that video recently showing the incompatibility issues that I was having, there was a few people, actually I don't want to call any names, that jumped to the defense of DJI, talking about, oh, just make a simple label maker. It's amazing to see that people will jump to DJI's defense no matter what DJI does. In this case, supposedly did. I was wrong. DJI obviously came up with a solution, and that's why they did not put an identification mark on these controllers like they did in all of their other previous models prior to these 3 drones. It's not the best way, but it is an official way to get it done. One suggestion I would have, DJI, if you're seeing this video, please put the update in DJI Assistant 2, or just make it as a standard update when people connect their controllers to their drones, to have them downloaded so it's automatically compatible with any one of the drones. All they have to do is bind. And if I can't fly, I should keep my composure, and that would make things a lot easier. But either which way, if things are too easy, then I wouldn't be making this video right here. So it is a good opportunity for me as well. So give this video a big thumbs up, share this video with anyone who you know is having binding issues with these controllers. Make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified when I release more Mavic videos. With that being said, I will catch you guys whenever I can.
Make sure you become a Patreon, guys. Big benefits to Patreon. Get direct access to me. Any questions? I'm right here on Patreon. Support this channel, and there's benefits. Last Mini 2 went all the way to the UK.